Meowdy market moguls, welcome to MEOWKET Mayhem. I'm Zach, your resident Catboy consultant. Let's fucking go! There are two words I think should never be in a sentence together. Baby and cancer. Can I get an amen in the chat? That's how we're starting this MEOWKET Mayhem out. That's the start of this one. Welcome, W cancer cells. Can we get a fucking 30-second ban for 480i for that? Now, I have great news. The heroes of our story also believe that consumable products should never pose foreseeable harm to users, which makes it strange that they've already paid out $4.5 billion in verdicts, settlements, and legal fees so far. Oh yeah, we're talking J&J. They did vaccinate us. That's not what we're talking about today. Surprisingly, the woke media will not win. So, let me introduce you to someone. Her name is Darlene Coker. She's dying of mesothelioma. In case you were wondering, mesothelioma slowly suffocates you from the inside, drowning you with your own fluids while tumors crush your chest. Hooray, right? That sounds awesome. One of the worst cancers, which is a fucking crazy phrase to say for any reason. Worst cancers. Now that I've scared you about it, that is terrifying. But there's good news. You can only get mesothelioma from asbestos. And asbestos isn't something that just shows up in many places. Which begs the question, why did Coker get it? I mean, she never worked in construction. She never lived near a factory. She never touched insulation. So how the fuck did she get it? Talc. Talc can contain asbestos because talc and asbestos form in the ground side by side. Talc is a rock, if you didn't know. So, looking around here. Oh, fuck! It's in talcum powder! That's baby powder! 90% of what baby powder is talc! And so, back in 1999, Darlene Coker is the first person to file a talc-related lawsuit against Johnson & Johnson. Unfortunately, the burden of proof is put on Darlene. It's her job to prove to the court that Johnson & Johnson did something wrong. So she goes up to the Johnson & Johnson building and goes, knock, knock. Hi, could I have the papers that would help me prove that you guys are assholes and that you killed me in one of the most painful ways? And they're like, do we have to? And she's like, the court hasn't ordered it. And they're like, fucking slam the door. No, get out of here. That's your job. You prove it. And I'd like to say, masterful job from Johnson & Johnson here. One of the best choices they could have made, because if they had released the papers, she might have done something crazy like, I don't know, sue them. Over the following 3 or so decades, there have been over 61,000 lawsuits against Johnson & Johnson specifically for their baby powder. And any given case is capable of compelling Johnson & Johnson to release internal documents if it meets certain court requirements. And it turns out that there's a good number of things that Darlene might have wanted to know for her initial court case. Let's take a quick look at some of them. In the late 1950s, Johnson & Johnson discovered that talc from its chief source mine contained tremolite, which occurs in asbestos, a recognized carcinogen. At the time, it was already recognized as something that could kill. Back in the fucking 50s! That's like 70 years ago! Oh, great. Here's a 1969 memo from a Johnson & Johnson doctor saying, it is not inconceivable that we could become involved in litigation. Again, the problem is not the fact that it could kill people. The problem is the financial recourse in their eyes. That's the problem. How evil can you be? Look, I don't know about you. I don't know if I ever want to see the words incontrovertible asbestos in a finding written that is intended for me. I don't want to ever have a professor write incontrovertible asbestos for something intended for me. They had this in the fucking 70s. Now, in their defense, Johnson & Johnson assured the regulator at the FDA that there was no asbestos detected in any sample of talc produced between December 1972 and October 1973. You know what they didn't happen to manage to share? The fact that 3 different tests from 3 different labs from 1972 to 1975 found asbestos in its talc, including this one, which said that the quantity of asbestos seemed rather high. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, if it says that it's high, what's a safe amount of asbestos? Like, is there an amount that's allowed? No, you fucking idiot! There is no safe amount of asbestos exposure! Any amount is deadly! So this has actually led to financial recourse for them. They have already had a $2 billion verdict for their ovarian cancer from their talc, which is something I, mind you, have not told you about. Mesothelioma is completely separate. 22 women with ovarian cancer won $2 billion, and I actually doctored this photo because it used to be $4.69 billion, but they did some legal voodoo magic shit to lower the amount because they're an evil fucking corporation. So now they're looking out over the sea of their 61,000 different lawsuits at the time. And they're like, oh fuck, that's not great. That's bad. This is Johnson & Johnson thinking really hard. This is them thinking. They're going, And immediately they take all of their items off of the shelves because of, quote, misinformation and unfounded allegations. What? You have the papers! But okay, you know what? Masterful gambit. No one will suspect a thing. You're doing a great job. But then they get to thinking, this is 61,000 people. All of them have cases. If I have to pay each of them about $300,000 to $500,000, this could cost me as much as, hold on, let me do the calculation. As much as 18 billion? Oh, wait, no, I got my numbers mixed up. 30 billion. I'd like to remind you that you have $20 right now because you're poor. We're talking many zeros more than that. 30 billion. Now, it's funny that you say that, Suna. It's funny that you say bankruptcy because, in fact, no. They literally could pay for this. They're valued at $450 billion and had about $31 billion in cash. In cash! So they literally could spend it, but of course they don't want to. Plus, they don't even deserve to have to spend this much because they're the good guys. We've been over this. So they have to get to thinking. They realize that everyone's being so rude to them. So it's now their job to bring the justice that they so rightly deserve upon themselves. Just gonna let you sit with that image for a little while. It's my OC, please do not copy. Actually, just kidding. Just kidding. I believe this is David the Hedgehog, and I just took the picture and turned it into Johnson & Johnson the Hedgehog. What do you mean, why did Sonic dye his hair red? He's Johnson & Johnson the Hedgehog. This is a completely different guy. Does Sonic have a jacket? Does Sonic have a jacket? Does he have cool orange pants? Maybe, you're right. So they have an idea. Introducing the company LTL Management. What? Oh, that's literally the point. It doesn't exist. They don't have a logo. They don't have a mission statement. They don't have a greater purpose. So just for the sake of this video, I'm going to make them a logo. Boom. Done. I have now spent more time on this company's brand image than they did. Yeah, I misspelled it. I also used Comic Sans. Is this your, like, wide-eyed awakening? Or, like, what's going on here? With this fucking Comic Sans logo with an AI-generated asset that I then copied over in Photoshop so that I didn't have to sign up for their service so they didn't get my email. So, here's their idea. Johnson & Johnson is going to split apart. They say, you take all this shit, and then give them all the lawsuits, as well as $2 billion, and then they immediately go and they bankrupt the company. So now a bankruptcy court oversees everything, and this accomplishes a few things. This, number one, immediately freezes all the lawsuits with what's called an automatic stop, which means no trials and no new filings. If you realize that you got cancer today, sorry, bucko, there's no way for you to fucking file something. Everything's frozen. The company's bankrupt. As well as the fact that a bankruptcy court would oversee either a reorganization plan or a trust fund that compensates the victims, which caps the cost at a certain level, dodging decades of lawsuits. So instead of being able to go and appeal to a jury of people and say, I deserve $1 billion because I got cancer, and then Johnson & Johnson has to say, damn it, fuck, okay, I guess. Now it's, I deserve $1 billion because I got cancer and we're bankrupt. Take what you can from the pile. That's the money that you have. $2 billion over there. That's everything for everyone. I don't think I have to tell you that if this works as a way to sidestep the billions that they would otherwise have to pay, it could have devastating consequences for consumers everywhere. And I'm just going to let you guys sit with this graphic for a minute because I sat in my school's dining hall for like 20 minutes making this rage comic in the year 2025. Now, I do have some good news, and this is genuine. It hasn't been working so far. They tried in 2023 and then were rejected by the US court. They said, no, you can't do that. I mean, you're not bankrupt. You made another fucking, you have access to cash, bro. You can pay. Just talk to your dad. So they try again. They then say, you know what? How about $8.9 billion? And when they say $8.9 billion, the court once again says, no, like we smell smoke, but we don't see a fire. You're not broke, bro. That's the phrase, which is fucking fire. If I wrote that, that's this picture. They tried a third time. This time it works. Johnson & Johnson collected 90,000 votes, saying that it had 83% of its plaintiffs' support because they had upped the money to $10 billion. Awesome, right? Pog? We like to see that? Just fucking kidding. Of course they were being scummy again! What actually happened was Johnson & Johnson rushed everything to such an extent that the plaintiffs' lawyers had to just vote. So, like, they weren't even representing what their clients wanted. And I'd like to put in perspective just how fucking batshit insane this is. This is a $10 billion settlement that was not accepted. This is the list of the largest public settlements ever. We're talking some real fucking heavy hitters here. We're talking the BP oil spill in 2010. We're talking about the opioid crisis. We're talking about the people who caused the 2008 recession. We're talking those people for $20 billion. Here's this rejected Johnson & Johnson settlement. This settlement that did not even fucking go through. Like, do you understand how insane that is? I know it's one of the lower ones on this list. I assure you, this is the top of the list. I should note, I did take one of them off this chart because it was an outlier. The Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement was $206 billion. At that point, you just say, okay, fuck. This kind of muddies the point of what we're talking about because it so completely trumps everything else. But the point is just how fucking far and away everything is here. Like, this is the top of the fucking chart. I want to finish out with this. Take a moment to consider how much you think it would take for it to be worth having mesothelioma. These are the exact words I use to describe this terminal cancer that usually takes only a year to claim your life. In case you were wondering, mesothelioma slowly suffocates you from the inside, drowning you in your own fluid while tumors crush your chest. How much would it cost for that to be worth it for you? This is how much it thinks a year of its CEO's healthy life is worth. $28.4 million. And this is how much it thinks that the rest of your life is worth. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Zach. I hope that you enjoyed this. Do the YouTube things, you know, the like, the following, the subscribing. Write a nice comment for me if you made it this far in the video. It tells me that I should actually keep on going. And then I can send a picture of what you wrote to my therapist. Or write something mean. Because that would also be something I sent to my therapist. If your goal is to have something be sent to my therapist, either one works. I prefer the nice ones, though. That'd be thoughtful. Consider being here for the next time. We have these pretty much every single Monday at twitch.tv/smoothly. I would love to have you in the comments. Potentially you'll make it into the next YouTube video. All right. Peace.